Bus here, back with another banger. So, Floodgate's our last key for 18 Resil, and we bricked to a bad bubbles patrol. We bricked because Smelly Magoo, our DK, called for pain sup on the last boss, and I completely crashed out that a Death Knight was calling for peace up on one of the hardest bosses in the game. Like, be so for real, bro. Other people actually need that. Anyways, first pull here, I use my nitro boost to get here as quickly as possible. I hop up on the box, grip prey, and we stand up here because the gears on the ground don't hit you when you're up here. So it's extremely free. Also, the loaders won't reach you with wind up. The flame frontal won't hit you. It's the turbo bis spot. Get there ASAP and grip your team so they can start doing damage. The only thing you really have to watch out for is the Surveyor's easy throw dynamite. For the rockets, I always try and pre-shield or shield immediately after because they do a significant amount of damage. Yeah, we basically cranked this pack in a minute flat. That is very good. And then we're well on our way. This next pull, I'm going to commit a ton of defensives. We're going to completely empty the tank here because, I mean, look how insane this is. We're pulling this whole area and then some. So while you have the nail gun going out on your entire party, you also have the rockets that do like 70% of your HP with no shield on and no defensives up. At the same time, look at the overlap here. I just choose the ultimate penitence. I use the ulti penny easy, right? And then the divers come. Quick mind soothe. I have another double, so I use my solace and shield myself at the last second. I probably should have done a preemptive solace, used my absolute soonest global for that. But I'm glad I reacted, at least. I use barrier here. I always try and use it on this pull. It just gets so hectic, especially with the wind-up loader bots and them hitting Gert, my DK, and the tank, and anyone that ends up wandering close. It's just so good to use and to have. We're getting pretty close to the end of the pull, and Lucas wants my tank Konashi. He wants pain sup, but I tell him to just kite it out, and he does, and we're able to save it. A lot of times he'll call for it, and I make that judgment call, and some people believe that you should always pain sup the tank when they ask. But like in a situation like that, like, bro, look at the next pull. This is extremely dangerous. He actually told me in comms after this pull, he was like, after that last pull, he told me, I'm not going to need pain sup on the next pull. You could just send it. And I was like, okay, like just to keep the flow going. And then later in this pull, like 30 seconds into it, you'll see he's like crying, like screaming for pain sub because like this pull lasts a long time and it's fucking dangerous, man. It's brutal. Ton of divers. You have to get them all from the lower platform, like up the stairs. So you have to use a few kicks. And then once they're all in, you want to beam them. And you're using your DH sigils. And you're just controlling them, right? You're going around, you're avoiding bombs. You want to make sure that harpoons never go off, but if they do, you can dwarf it, you can use a defensive. As long as you don't get gripped into a bomb, you should be able to live. Even on this high of a key level. So I'm always watching for that. And I'm doing a lot of pre-shielding. Trying to stop the nail gun damage. Make sure everyone's able to just focus on doing damage and not worried about their health. I'm going to mind soothe here, and then we go to the next pull. Here, it's not extremely dangerous, but there are overlaps that can be. Like, the rockets are going to go out on players, and from the surveyors, the easy throw dynamite, right? It's going out, and if you are standing on a gear, like as the gear comes out and you take like 1 or 2 ticks and you take the rocket, you can die. And so I'm just trying to pre-shield and make sure that never happens. Especially I'm trying to protect Prey, my Boomkin's well-owned instincts, and make sure that he has the proc for the next boss, because that actually is dangerous. And about the next boss, I don't always use my premonitions. Like, I intentionally will go into the fight saying, okay, this time I'm going to go through all of my premonitions and use them. But, like, I don't really need them. And on top of that, I am really trying to make sure that I have enough for the next pulls that we're going to be doing, which are a bit more dangerous. It used to be we go from this into Swampface, but we just recently started running this route where we go all the way across and we do Big Mama area pulls. And I actually don't think I need to save any sort of premonitions at all for that pull. And we'll see what I end up doing. But yeah, we pull the shredders into boss, preferably on a before the foot mechanics or like right as the foot mechanic goes out so that it's clear in here. But we've done it with the shredders as high as like 25-30% and just played it and have been mindful about our positioning. Here I'm always trying to pre-shield. Having the ability to see who it's on is extremely important. And if you don't have that, I would recommend adding that to your toolkit. Especially with how powerful shields are, you want to be pre-shielding intentionally, and you only can one at a time for that mechanic, right? So being able to shield prey before that, massive. And then if he was to get another one, like right there, a shot immediately after, he would be completely fine. I don't think we had any close calls on this boss on this run, but we most certainly have missed a few, mostly due to me like insta dispelling when there was actually a bomb like out of my camera's view. Like right behind me to the left, I just missed it and I insta dispelled my mage and he was like, "What are you doing, dude? I wasn't there yet." And I was like, "What?" And then the bomb goes off and then we have to use mage barrier and other defensives cuz I mean, if you're fully topped and I'm paying attention and I'm able to shield you, you should never ever die on this fight. It can get mana intensive, but I have never really fully run out of mana on this fight. It's all good. I can drink right after. So I started cycling through my premonitions, and I'm now at piety. I know that, yeah, I end up using it right here. All right, let's go to the next area. All right, we're back. So this pull, I'm again just being a shield bot, doing what damage I can, and making sure that no one dies. DK is a PI target on a big pull like this. And we figured out that even though we're lusting Big Mama next pull, we don't want to save PI here because it gives it to the mage at a later stage in the fight during execution and he goes absolutely insane. Whereas if we held it for lust on the beginning of the pull, the timings didn't work out as well for him and it made the boss harder for us. We just try and stay like relatively close, by the way, to bait the leaps and make sure that the mobs die relatively around the same time. I think I want to drink here before I go into Big Mama. This can be a very long or an appropriately timed fight. Like I've seen as low as like 3:30 to 4 minutes, and I've seen like 5 to 6 minutes Big Mama fights on these high key levels. So let's see how this one goes. I think I need to be topped. Oh, I meld and drink. Okay, that's cool. It's honestly kind of fire. I don't really need it for the next boss fight. Sometimes I use it when the giant like silencing ball is aimed at me just so it will go on someone else and I can focus on healing. But my team told me that that trolls them a lot because I wait to do it to the last second. Even though I announced it in voice, they're like, yo, I wasn't ready for that. And it's cooked us once or twice. So now I just try and be ready for it and I don't use meld. I want to though, bad. So I'm Big Mama. I am always trying to shield my tank on the Electro Crush. I don't always get to, but that is extremely helpful. I don't want him to cheat here. That is my goal. And then I just kind of watch everyone else with pre-shields whenever I can. I do a lot on myself. All right, so going into the first phase, I have Clairvoyance loaded. This is on purpose. This is what works well for me. We use AMZ, and then I just get to work. Penance, shield, penance, shield, pray again. Use our instant radiance cast, a few flash heals, and we're able to save pretty much everything. Pray did not proc his well-honed instincts. I didn't have to use evangelism. Mage didn't have to use anything major. It worked out. And this is because we killed all of the ads. We've been in here a bunch of times, like I said, and there's been many times where the ads just don't die. And I have to heal for like 15 to 20 seconds. Makes it way, way, way harder. And you have to commit way more defensives. First one, it was very clean, very smooth. And we're looking healthy going into the next one. I didn't even have to use Shadow Fiend on the first one. So I have that combined with Insight. So I'll be having just insane healing. I can also use Piety if I want on top of that. Let's see if I do. Okay, we have some ads up. I'm definitely going to have to commit more than I did on the first round. All right, I bring out my pet. I Insight. Okay, I Piety. The ad's almost dead, and this extra healing is really going to carry. Instant Radiance. DK's playing a minute and a half AMZ. Absolutely massive for this fight. So once we get a little bit stabilized, I use my uppies. Still save Prey's well-owned instincts. Nope, it procs. Even though I shielded him, this phase does a ton of damage. But I saved Evangelism again. I didn't need it there. Could I have used it? Absolutely. We still have a lot at our disposal. And I know we're probably only going to have one phase left. We're about to get into execute. I see that PI is coming up in 20 seconds. Mage just sent his CDs though. I wonder what I'm going to do. Do I hold it? Or does Formal make me save it? Or do I send it on Gert or some shit? My positioning here was wild, but I used Nitro Boost to get back. I Mind Soothe, but Konashi just pulls them in. It's part of the boss. I wasn't sure when he was going to pull him in, but this seemed like a good time for him. So we're already in the phase here, and I have Clairvoyance. I use my barrier, and this is hopefully the last one, so I'm just going to be sending almost everything. I did want to send PI there to help with that. But I end up saving it for the next pull because it is going to be very scary. Okay, I didn't use Evangelism again. That's actually crazy. I didn't use it at all on this fight. That's kind of bad, honestly. I have a piece up. My mentality was I kind of know what I need. Okay, Formal sends here, and I don't PI him because I'm saving it for the next pack. He just does it to make sure we kill the boss. And because we're going to have to wait a little bit for Kanashi to do this next little part by the boxes. And then we'll go into the next pull. He'll have his CDs back with PI. Should line up. Weapons stockpiles. Stockpiled weapons pilfered? What the is that? Am I even reading, dude? The damn service tunnel. That damn service tunnel. All right. This pull honestly scares the out of me, man. It is like impossible to bring everyone up with all the absorbs unless you commit major. I should have used piety before I penanced. That was my massive mistake. I used evangelism. I even health potted. It was way too late. I had desperate prayer. I should have used that. And I spawned right on top of the fucking loader bots, man. My mentality was just like, yo, get up now. Keep everyone alive. Like, get back so you can be ready for this next phase. Because it is scary. I don't have evangelism. I don't have uppies, which I would typically use here. I don't have pet. Not sure how we live that, honestly. I paints up myself. Okay, Nature's Vigil was rolling. Everyone used defensives. That's good. That was definitely spooky from my perspective. So, right here, I'm just being mindful of where my premonitions are at because I know that we're going into Swampface next, and that is a mega heal check. And I want to have everything prepared. So on this next pull, I might even save my solace. Let's see. I probably use it and just go in with clairvoyance. That would make sense. But that's what I've done every time is make sure that I have clairvoyance for the start of this fight. So that we're super topped and healthy on the very first phase and everyone's confident and we can maintain flow. Because it is a very scary fight. Formal uses his health pot here. Low-key, I'm not happy about that because we have one of the hardest fights in the game coming next and he legitimately won't have a health pot for the entire fight. He should have just used a defensive and I could have healed him. But I understand. Again, Formal doesn't defensive until way late. That is not good. I didn't call for it. He just chose to do that, and it was not good. There was no incoming damage. He wasted another very important cooldown for one of the hardest fights. That's a pet peeve of mine as a healer. I'm always watching little things like that. And like his mentality, I'm sure, was like, I want to make sure I live and whatever. But bro, if you're at 30% health for 5 seconds, like, I mean, and there's no incoming damage, like you got to know the timings of things. Don't pop shit like that. Especially not a health pot or a block right before an extremely difficult boss. He definitely can and will cycle through his other defensives throughout the boss, and ice block will come back. But like that's just my stance on that. All right, Prey DC'd here. He was apparently DC'd during that entire pull, or like halfway through, and we just didn't hear him say that my internet's dead. I DC'd. So that was a good amount off the timer. We go into the boss and we're ready. PI on pull. Always goes on mage here. And I actually used clairvoyance early. Okay, no, I kept solace. Holy shit. All right, I solace on prey to go into the phase. And then let's see if I use clairvoyance. I save it. I'm able to save it. We used a lot, but like that's my play style. I see what I can get away with. I have a general idea of what I want to use and win. And that's why I save evangelism. That's my like get out of jail free card. I use my pet early and surely I'm going to use clairvoyance here. No, I really am just getting by, bro. Formal had 10% health. I committed evangelism, and that was it. I've done this fight 2 or 3 times prior to this on an 18. Not the same day, but the same week. I think it was a few days before this, so I kind of knew what to expect. and what I could get away with, but that was too risky. I definitely would not prefer that. And I'm sure if he had a health pot, he would have used it there just out of pure fear for losing his life. All right, we lust there, and we have Giga CDs going. I think we're going to have Nature's Vigil going. Yep, that's massive going into this phase. This fight is so hard, especially the in-between as it takes right now for like 7-8 seconds going into this very hard damaging phase. We're using a lot of externals and defensives here. AMZ just went down. 1 minute 30-second cooldown on this whole dungeon is massive for all of the bosses except Demolition Duo. That's just not really a real boss fight. I have Pet back, and my instant radiant cast comes back. I have uppies. Let's see if I use it or save it here. I see Evangelism coming off cooldown. Yep, perfect. Fully topped, fully locked. I don't shield Lucas, my tank, on that unless he asks me to, because immediately following, it starts to get really spooky for the party member, for everyone else. All right, I put my Solace on Prey. Mage has Altar. I go up. As soon as I come down, I'm probably going to be shielding with my Wheel and Woe stacks. Okay, I shielded the Decay. I wouldn't have if I could do it over again. I would have put it on the boomy. We're in PI now, so I probably can carry the fight, but I'm telling everyone, like, you know, watch yourself. I don't want to see anyone dead because we thought that it was Jover when this phase is still extremely scary. Okay, we won. We saved well-known instincts, and we have one crab left to kill. I go and meld drink. Mana's pretty much tapped after this fight. I wasn't super efficient. I was flash healing a lot. I was kind of scared in a lot of moments, but we made it through. Formal has block. He didn't use it on that fight at all. He has health pot. He didn't use it on that fight at all. No one did except for Gert. So, job well done. All right, the damn service tunnel. We've bricked here before. Just a few days prior, we all crashed out about it, but we figured out what needed to happen and we got it right this time. What was happening was Konashi wasn't staying in a straight line when he pulled bubbles, and it was causing bubbles to stop and cast midway, like right in our faces, and it got us in combat. So to change that, instead of going around the pillar, he would just stay as far back as possible in a straight line, and it allowed us to get where we needed to go. This pull can be actually really scary. If you aren't dispelling instantly because of the timings, you could have it be on someone the next round for like 3 seconds, and that with an overlap of the ticking damage could just kill you or that person. Trying to just penance shield a lot, pre-shield the boomy and the mage, maybe myself. You see here it's on Prey. He has to use renewal or he would have been at like 20% HP. With this route, we are just going right to the next jump starter, doing that pull, and then we're done. So I'm being mindful of that with my premonitions because I really want to have clairvoyance going into that boss. It is so spooky, and it just starts off with chaos as soon as you get into it, you know? Here's a similar thing with the dispels, but it's different than the other pull because there's also a dispel on the tank, but you can't afford to do that, so he just has to use his defensives. Or you could commit mass dispel. I waited for Formal to have cooldowns to send my PI, and I'm just trying to dispel again as quickly as possible and then be a shield bot. I'd rather commit evangelism than clairvoyance. So Let's see. If I had PI going into the boss, it'd be a different story. Okay, I'm able to save literally everything because we used PI and we were just cozy the whole time. Again, like in the beginning of Oracle, there were a lot of people saying like they just cycled through their premonitions to use them to get through them to get to clairvoyance. But okay, if you do that, like you're at clairvoyance now, you've arrived. Like save that for something that actually matters. Okay, my tank cheated on that pull. I'm not sure how. I'm sure he was upset about it, but he was also like, it's whatever. I don't need it. All right, so we go in with barriers. I always try and pre-shield at least 2 targets. I don't have time for many more. And then I have radianced here, but that gets me in combat. So I'm saying in the past. So now I just try and not to. If I do, I will meld though. All right, we go in. I have good mana. I have an 8 million shield on me right now. We always AMZ the first phase, and I have clairvoyance, so we should be A-okay. I tell my team, don't use defensives. Prey even saves his well-owned instincts. Like, that is massive. We are looking good for this first phase, because pretty sure we've died during this part. Look at, we've just been on the most recent run. We lost because Gert called for pain sub, and I absolutely lost it. It was inappropriate of me to do that, but something just like triggered me, and I just had to respond to him asking for that. And in the same round of zaps, Prey died. And so it was just bad, man. I should have stayed focused and locked. And now I know sort of what to expect from the damage profile. I shouldn't have let Prey proc here, but that's what it's for. We used it. I use my barrier. I have piety going. And let's see if it gets scary. All right, it does get scary, but we're able to win. That's good. I didn't have to health pot. I'm watching my mana. I am flash healing quite a bit, but I do need to be, especially during this phase. Being in PI and Gert absorbing it with the AMS, like I don't need to really commit anything special there. I can just focus on healing myself. For this, by the way, you always want to make sure you're in a position where you don't eat a circle that the melee need. In our group, it's just tank and DK, so that's not too difficult, but keep that in mind. When I see my mage has altar, I am absolutely focusing the other person instead. He's a good mage and he'll release his altar on time and he'll go right back to full health. This phase, I have to go up here. We have AMZ back, and AMZ with ulti Penny is able to carry. I'm trying to shield my tank on a lot of the thunder punches, but I'm also trying to pre-shield my boomy and myself. Yep, I commit peace up. He only has well-owned instincts and health pot, and I'm not ready to commit that yet. And I have another peace up charge. I have clairvoyance for the next phase, and evangelism and darkness and mage barrier. It's likely the last one. So let's see what I use on this one. I'm always flash healing, by the way, before this. That's what you want to be flash healing. Okay. What I did there, I think I kind of had to do. I didn't have a penance available, so that was a better global to just flash heal. Gert health pots, that's good. Okay, this is, I'm not sure this is the last phase. Well, we do have less stuff. Let's see. I save evangelism, though, just in case. I have pet up. I have insight. Yo, we're about to really lock in on this. We're going to time this shit. Okay, I use insight there. That's interesting. All right, we have AMZ and Mage Barrier. We'll be fine. All right, in my head, I know that I have piety. Okay, we just lusted. Bro, it's Jover. Oh, we win, bro. We just are like, yo, commit everything. It's all good. I think I'm going to pain sup. Yep. Ice block. I'm just paying attention to Prey now because he's the only one that needs care, all right? Didn't even have to use evangelism. All right. Cool. That was our journey to getting Resil 18. Appreciate you watching. Come watch me yap and clap on Twitch. Peace.